Hey Stampers, happy Monday. Hope everyone had a terrific weekend. Ours was packed with marching band and cross country and all kinds of fun things. So I'm excited to be back and share some projects with you guys. Today's project is actually a great fall card. Temperatures starting to fall, at least around here in central Illinois, just a tiny bit. But the stamp set that I'm going to use today is one that's been sitting on the side of my stamp shelf. If you've ever seen my my Loven Stamps studio tour where I show my stamps and how I organize them. Anyway, this stamp set has been calling my name, and now that it's starting to get a little closer to fall, Nuts About Squirrels has made it to the top of my stack. And I have a really fun card to share with you, and I just realized that actually know where it is. I'm gonna have to find it here in a second. But we are going to turn this stamp set kind of fall related by using the Harvest Meadow paper. So here are some of the patterns in that set. I've used a whole bunch of them recently. The backs of them are more Calypso Coral and Bumblebee and so forth. And we're going to make a fun fold card, a Peekaboo Circle Card actually. And I'm going to use the layering circles dies for this, which are like the most amazing tool for making this kind of Peekaboo Circle Card, just because you have so many choices. So I'll tell you what size circles I'm choosing to use for this one. We're also going to work in some of the gold shimmer vellum, which is in the holiday catalog too, and a great accent for something like this, and I'll tell you about why I like that one. So good morning, Margie and Sandy, Debbie, Paula, Robin, Tanya, Trish, Sue, everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip the camera down, and I'm going to get you guys started with this stamp set here. So it has actually a great set of greetings. Let's see, there we go. It actually has a great set of greetings. It has happy birthday, which is, good all year long. It has a Nuts About You, which really is kind of an all-purpose, thinking of you, thank you, whatever you want to use it for. And it has this little hope you're feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, which is kind of a great greeting for lots of sort of get-well themed ideas. So, without being like, oh, get well soon or that kind of thing. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And I'm going to, like I said, use these layering circle dies. So we'll come back to those in a second here. So let's grab our card base. And the card base that I'm using is Misty Moonlight. And it is, it started off life as a regular half sheet card. So 8.5 by 5.5. And then I went ahead and I scored it in the middle, and then I cut 1 inch off the side. So now this is actually 7.5 by 5.5 inches tall. So this is the way our card is going to open. And then we are going to, sorry about that. Then we are going to add some designer series paper to the front. So I have a piece here that is from that autumn harvest or harvest meadow paper. And I'm going to go ahead and add this. Now, usually, if you've ever watched me put layers together, I don't always glab on the adhesive. I'm kind of sparing. But I'm going to use a little more on this one just because we're going to cut some pieces out of this to make our Peekaboo circle. And I want to make sure that my paper doesn't like fall off because I've cut off all the adhesive points. All right. And then I also have a piece here that's 1.5 inches wide. And this one is going to go on the inside of our card. But before I stick that in here, we're going to go ahead and add our center. So this is very vanilla. I know that Harvest Meadow is really truly a basic white coordinating paper when you look at some of these patterns. But if you're cheating a little bit and using some of these patterns that don't have a lot of neutral color in them, especially this one, you can absolutely get away with switching it to a vanilla card if you like that vanilla feel for fall. So usually cards are, to me at least, they feel pretty clearly vanilla cards or pretty clearly basic white cards, that I'm kind of a fan of this one. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of eye this here. Actually, you know what, I'm not gonna stick it down, and I'm gonna tell you why, because I made a mistake when I did my sample card, and you'll see how that happens. So I'm not gonna stick this, I'm just gonna leave it here for explanatory purposes. Now, we want to create a circle here with our squirrel, our focal point on it. And so I'm going to bring in a piece here. So this is cut with the one, let's see. So this one is 2 3/8 inch. Oops. So our 2 3/8 inch circle. And I'm gonna go ahead and stamp our squirrel on this. And I'm gonna use Early Espresso for the line art. So this stamp set is really easy to color. You don't have to color it. You could actually just use the line art, but if you wanna color it, you can stamp the color inside, which is a really fun style choice. I love stamp sets like this. So I've got our squirrel on there. I'm gonna leave a little space at the bottom because we don't want him to float. So we want to give him a branch to stand on. So I'm gonna go ahead and stamp our little branch. Maybe I'll add a little more branch here. There we go. I'm gonna add a little more branch this way so it all connects together. There we go. Okay, now he's got a place to stand. You can be creative, turn, twist, turn, all those things. But we want to give him some color. And so I'm gonna use the soft suede ink pad for this. So it's just a little bit different shade of the brown, a different color. And I'm gonna ink up our coloring stamp. Now he's gonna be pretty dark if I go ahead and stamp him full strength. So I am going to go ahead and stamp off once, if you've ever heard that term. And do you see how there's a little bit of variation in the tail here? What that means is that there's more, there's a little variation in the ink that's left on the stamp. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and do one more. There we go. See, this is a nice clean image. Now I know that what's left on here is gonna be a nice clean set of ink for us, okay? So when you stamp off, look at what you've stamped and make sure that it's what you expect. Now, lining this guy up, generally what I do is I pick a point, like maybe the back of his foot, and kind of center that. And then I kind of rotate from there until I get to a point where things are pretty well lined up on the other parts, and then go ahead and stamp it, okay? And the closer you get, there, see we go, pretty good actually. I'm pretty pleased with that. The closer you get, the easier it is to see if you're lined up or not. So I kind of do this hovering thing. All right. So people are like, Meg, I can't do the hovering thing. It just always touches the paper too soon. So let me tell you a lesson I learned from pottery. I also like to throw pots. I did it in college. It was one of my favorite classes ever. But here's what I've learned from that. And that is you have to brace your hands. So if I'm trying to hover this stamp really close to the paper like this, I have to, I don't want to do it like freehand. See, you can't see my elbows. But my hands are like floating on top of the paper and I'm trying to just do this. This is not going to give me good success just because our hands shake and we're like human beings and stuff. So what I do instead is I put my hands down on the tabletop. So see, my pinkies are touching, and then I'm like in so much better control of movement up and down this way. Like, brace your hands on the table when you go to stamp things that you're trying to get exact so that you're not just like freehand throwing it, okay? All right, so that's my tip. And we get to do it again because I'm going to add the little nut pieces here. Let's see. Okay, says she used this for an anniversary card for her sister. Oh, how fun. All right, the nut topper, I'm gonna use Early Espresso again, and I'm gonna stamp off and put that on there. So it's just a little, slightly different shade. And then our cute little nut here, I think I'm gonna stamp off twice so we get a different color. And there's a little like cut in it. That's where the little squirrel hand goes. So there we have our little squirrel hand. All right, isn't he darling? I'm kind of a fan. All right, so now he is going to go back on our card like this. And we want to give him sort of a shadow. So this is where I said we were going to bring in that gold shimmer vellum from the holiday catalog. And I'm going to pop this under here. And look at how that color goes so nicely with our soft suede. And it just sort of, I was going to say the word richens, but richens is not actually a word. It enriches sort of the color palette of our card and just makes the look a little bit warmer and so forth. So now you're like, Meg, this isn't a Peekaboo Circle Card yet. All right, so this is what we're going to do. The gold, by the way, is cut with a circle that is just one die larger. Here's what they look like together. Okay, this is where the layering circle dies are so handy because they let you have lots of choices. So I'm going to take this larger one that I used for the gold and I'm going to use it again. And we're going to use it on the Misty Moonlight card base. So now I want to take a look at where this is going to go. So I'm using the stamped element as a guide, and I think I want it up a little higher. Okay, so I want this to be about here. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because when you open your card to do the cutting, all of a sudden you kind of forget where like this is supposed to go. So I'm going to kind of get this set here. It would help if I have it facing the right direction. All right, so I'm just going to pinch this with my hand and take those middle elements out and bring in my die cut machine. And for this one, since you are die cutting a full card through here at one time, you're going to have to use the full Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I still always have my washi tape handy there to just sort of tack that down in place. All right, so I have my my plate, my big cutting plate. I have my number 2 thin die adapter. I have my number 3 cutting plate there, my cardstock and my die, and then another number 3. And I'm just going to crank this through. And we get our fun peekaboo element. So let's pull this back apart, get this out of the way, and try not to drop my plates on the floor. There we go. Okay, so now that this is cut, I have this element here on the front. Oops. There we go. Now with our circle, okay? So now we can take our Very Vanilla and put this back in here, and our Designer Series paper strip again, and put this back in here. And you can see where I went wrong before. So what I did was I stamped the greeting in the middle, because that's what we always do, right? But clearly that's not gonna work for this card. So I am going to kind of put this back together. I'm just gonna lay this here. I don't want to stick my vanilla layer down until I've stamped, just in case something goes wrong. So I'm just kind of eyeing all this for placement, and then I'm gonna put my greeting up here. So I've got my early espresso that I'm kind of using for different stuff, and I've got Hope You're Feeling Bright-Eyed and Bushy-Tailed. All right, good. Now I can start to assemble, and I'm gonna show you some tricks for putting the panels on the front and adding sort of a greeting element that overlaps. And we're gonna add one more color to our card. Hint, hint, there we go. All right, I'm gonna put my designer paper on here, which I seem to have cut slightly crooked, so maybe I'll do a quick fix on that. It's always fun when you have paper that is, I got a vertical pattern on it, because you really have like a good clue from the pattern whether your paper cut was straight or not. There, that's a little better. And, oh, there's another hint right there of our extra color. Okay. All right, so got this set, got this layered. We're going to go ahead and stick this down, and I'm gonna stick it down flat. I'm just gonna put it right through the hole, because that way I know that I am getting it all lined up correctly. So I'm gonna close my card and pop this down just like that. All right, next we have our little squirrel that we're gonna bring back in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this on with Stampin' Dimensionals so that it has just a little extra pop-up on the front. And I don't really need 3 for that. You could, I guess. I don't know, how many dimensionals do you guys, how many dimensionals would you use on a panel this big? What do you guys think? More than me, less than me? Would anybody use 1? I think most people probably use more than me. I have a lot of faith in my Stampin' Dimensionals. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring in our greeting. So we have a little strip here of Very Vanilla, and I want to add in a greeting. I'm gonna use the Hey There. So I'm gonna ink that in Early Espresso and put this on the front. There we go, okay. And then I'm just gonna give that a quick cut at the end. This is a great non like flourishy busy card, so I'm not gonna make it like too fussy cut with an extra element. And then I really wanted to bring in some extra color here, so what if we do this and bring in some of that Calypso Coral? So I'm kind of a big fan here on how that little extra punch of color really makes a big difference. So let's put these 2 elements together. And I know if you're looking at the smudge, you're like, Meg, there's a smudge on your card. Never fear, we'll get there. I saw it. I've already kind of been coming up with an idea to covered up. There's no such thing as a mistake, it's just a different effect. So I'll show you one without the smudge, but then I'm gonna show you how I would fix that smudge, or how I will fix that smudge. All right, so multi-purpose liquid glue for the win on that. And then I'm gonna take this with a Stampin' Dimensional on the back. I'm gonna put it right at that intersection. A lot of times I use Stampin' Dimensionals to reinforce the layering between two pieces of my card. And so this is gonna kind of fit here. Now, I would have stuck it down already, but we still have to come back to this. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come in here with one of the other elements. So my choices are another squirrel, which isn't gonna fit there, the branch, which I don't think I'm gonna use, this acorn or the leaf. And I think this leaf actually is a perfect thing to add there. So why don't we go ahead and do this. I'm gonna wash my stamp real fast because we had another leaf coming. We still have another leaf coming, but I want to add one here with one of the browns. So I'm gonna use, I think, soft suede, and let's just check and see what this looks like. So there's one, there's two, there's three. I kind of like the third stamp off of this. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, brilliant. Good thing I stamped it off a couple times already. 1, 2, 3. So there's a really light leaf in the background, and then I might need one more just to sort of round things out. So that one's gonna go down there. And then because we have that darker smudge, I'm gonna go ahead and use my leaf vein. Yep, and see how that looks there on my scratch paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this here to my background. And now it just looks like we intended to have some extra leaves there. But my real, okay, so now I can go ahead and stick this down. So I'm gonna peel this dimensional, and then I'm gonna show you my real intention for that area. And let's see, I think I want this to go kind of about there, okay? Now you'll notice I didn't put any dimensionals on this end. That's because that part would seal our card shut. So if we put a dimensional over there, then we would have a problem. But let's come back to those leaves. So I'm gonna take this guy and wash it again. Stampin' Chamois are my favorite ink magnets for cleaning up stamps and blocks. And let's bring in our Calypso Coral instead. So I'm gonna grab a scrap here of the Very Vanilla, and I'm gonna go ahead and stamp a couple of leaves. I think maybe I'll do 1 full strength and then 1 off. That sounds good. Just to give us some variety. And then I'm gonna use that soft suede veining again and put a couple of these on here. And then I'm gonna do a really quick fussy cut. So remember, hold your scissors steady and just turn your paper with your other hand. So if you're right-handed, you're cutting with your right, you're twisting with your left, but you're holding your right steady and just using it to close the scissors down. Okay, so 1 continuous cut to do all of that like area. So that gives us these 2 little leaf elements, and now I can go ahead and stick these in here a little bit, kind of wherever I want to. So let's see, I think kind of like that, and then that matches with the leaves that we've got in the background there. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna do it one at a time, remember? So we're gonna take 1 element off of our card at a time to put back on, and kind of eye there. I want it to be sort of a different like line, horizontal line on my card than the first one. So I'm gonna pop that a little higher. And then this one, same thing, I'm gonna come up a little bit more. Okay, and you can overlap this space just a little if you want to. Just don't put glue on the back of it, that's gonna touch there. All right, now we're not done because we still need to add an embellishment. And of course, then I would also stamp on my envelope. So let's see, we can do a super quick little leaf thing here. Leaf. There's 3 little leaves. I like this little leaf element. If you wanted to do like some variety, you could do some stamped off. There we go. Always good to overlap the edge. Can you tell I'm thinking hard there for a second when I stop talking? All right, so there's some leaves to go with our card, but we're gonna add this element to the front. We are going to add in some metallic dots. These are the metallic pearls. They come in silver and gold. And I really like to use them with my take your pick tool. So let's just put a couple down here, kind of circle our elements there, over here, up here, up here. There we go. It sort of brings in our area here with our little cute squirrel face. So, all right. So let's see. Jan says she would try this with a witch and a moon. Oh yeah, totally. Any main image really you could use for this card. So like if you're flipping through, like the pumpkin would be a good one. You could have the pumpkin on there. Like any focal point really. You could have leaves that you put on your circle card. You could have an ornament that you could have on your circle card. Like whatever element is your focal point. Ooh, it'd be kind of cute with the polar bears actually. Like the polar bears and the background on this circle. Anyway, the other great thing about that is that with the layering circle dies, you have a zillion choices on how big you want these elements to be because you have all the combination of circles. So you're not limited to just like 1 or 2 circle sizes. Okay. Oh, Bernae says sending me all the fussy cutting. You know what? You can do it. Just try that tip. It'll really help to clean up your fussy cutting. Hold your, this is the turny hand, this is the cutting hand. They have separate jobs. So you can practice you could practice patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. Sorry, a little crooked there. To see if that helps you. But yeah, just kind of think about that division of labor there between your left and right hand when you're doing your fussy cutting. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Tanya says 2 dimensionals. Margie says 5. 5 Stampin' Dimensionals is a lot. So yes, you win the award. And of course, you might need to order more. So links in the video description. What else did I see? Oh yeah, lots of people thinking of different critters that they have to use. And I missed a whole bunch of comments, guys. Oh, 3 tiny ones. Yeah, for anybody who didn't know, the Stampin' Dimensionals come in 2 sizes. They come in the big size and the little size. So think a little bit about which size you want to use for your elements. I really use the big ones all the time unless something's so small that I can't get the smaller sizes on there. So, all right, guys. Well, that covers us for Monday. So have fun with your little critter cards, pulling out some fun things. He is kind of a little critter. If you are ever read the little critter books with your with small people in your life, little critter is kind of I can't remember the author. Maurice something. Anyway, somebody who's more close to that will know it, but little critter books are a lot of fun, and these squirrel cards are pretty cute too. So, all right, guys, have a terrific Monday. Hope you all enjoyed your weekend and had a fabulous time to enjoy some good weather or do some crafting or sit inside. I know I talked to at least a couple of people who are working on cards from last Friday, so that was really fun. And I look forward to hearing about how your week goes. So have a great day, and I'll be back on Wednesday with another project. Happy stamping, guys.